The Cats of Consciousness, Chapter 2, Sensations and Perceptions, Gathering Information. The eyes of a cat are windows enabling us to see into another world. Irish proverb. The dance of raw sensation. Every moment of our lives, our senses are flooded with information. The subtle pressure of clothes against skin, the distant hum of traffic, the play of light and shadow across our visual field, the lingering trace of morning coffee in the air, most of this rich tapestry of sensation passes beneath the threshold of our conscious awareness. Like a cat that can detect the slightest movement in its peripheral vision while appearing to doze, our sensory systems are constantly processing far more information than we consciously register. Consider this moment right now. As you read these words, pause briefly to notice the full spectrum of sensations available to your awareness. Feel the weight and position of your body, the temperature of the air against your skin, the sounds near and far, the quality of light in your environment. This immediate sensory experience forms the foundation of all higher-order perception and understanding. The alchemy of perception. Raw sensation becomes meaningful perception through an extraordinary process of transformation in our nervous system. Like a master alchemist, our brain transmutes raw sensory data into coherent experiences, drawing upon memory, expectation, and understanding to create our moment-to-moment reality. Rebecca, an artist I worked with, described a fascinating experience during a painting workshop. Asked to draw a simple chair, she realized how her brain had been automatically converting the raw visual data of light and shadow into the concept chair, causing her to draw her idea of a chair rather than what she actually saw. Learning to perceive the raw sensory data, the actual patterns of light and dark, transformed not just her artwork, but her understanding of how perception shapes all experience. Our perceptions are shaped by countless filters, most operating below the threshold of conscious awareness. These filters, built from past experience, cultural conditioning, beliefs, and expectations, profoundly influence what we notice and how we interpret it. Think of David, a clinical psychologist who prided himself on his objective observation skills. Through careful self-examination, he discovered how his professional training, while enhancing certain aspects of his perception, had also created specific blind spots. His medical model of human behavior sometimes prevented him from perceiving the broader context of his clients' experiences. This recognition allowed him to develop a more balanced perceptual framework, integrating both clinical insight and human understanding. Like a house of mirrors, our perceptual filters can subtly or dramatically distort the information we receive. Understanding these distortions isn't about eliminating them, they're an inherent part of human experience, but about becoming aware of how they shape our reality. Let's explore some of the most influential ways our perceptions become filtered, and how we might work more consciously with these patterns. Consider confirmation bias, perhaps the most pervasive of all perceptual filters. Like a cat that, once startled by a cucumber, sees every similar object as a potential threat, we tend to notice and remember information that confirms our existing beliefs while overlooking or dismissing contradictory evidence. Maria, a business leader, discovered how this bias was affecting her team management. She realized she was unconsciously noting every instance of a particular employee's tardiness, while failing to register their numerous contributions and early arrivals. This awareness allowed her to develop a more balanced perception of her team members' performance. The availability bias colors our perception through the lens of memorable experiences. Just as a cat might become oversensitive to the sound of a treat bag after one positive experience, we tend to overestimate the likelihood of events that easily come to mind. John, an avid hiker, found himself increasingly anxious about bear encounters after hearing one dramatic story, despite the statistical rarity of such incidents. Understanding this bias helped him put his concerns in perspective and maintain a more realistic assessment of hiking risks. Developing clearer perception requires both understanding and practice. Like a cat learning to hunt, we must refine our ability to gather and process sensory information accurately. This journey begins with what I call sensory restoration, reconnecting with our innate capacity for clear, direct perception. Start with a simple practice I call fresh eyes. Choose an ordinary object from your environment, perhaps a coffee cup or a houseplant. Imagine you're seeing it for the first time, as if you've just arrived from a world where such objects don't exist. Notice its shape, color, texture, the way light plays across its surface. This practice helps bypass our habitual perceptual filters, allowing us to experience reality more directly. Advanced perception training involves working with multiple senses simultaneously while maintaining clear awareness of each sensory stream. Like a cat tracking prey through sight, sound, and smell, we can learn to integrate multiple sensory inputs while maintaining distinct awareness of each channel. Our perceptions perhaps reveal themselves most clearly in our relationships with others. Every interaction becomes a kind of mirror, reflecting our perceptual filters and biases. Notice how quickly you form impressions of new people, how certain qualities attract or repel your attention, how some behaviors trigger automatic reactions while others pass unnoticed. Rachel, a teacher, made a fascinating discovery about her perception of students. She noticed that children who reminded her of herself as a young student received more of her attention and positive feedback. This awareness allowed her to consciously adjust her perceptual filters, developing a more balanced and inclusive teaching style. Every moment offers an opportunity to refine our perceptual abilities. Consider your daily routine as a perfect practice ground for developing clearer, more conscious perception. The morning shower becomes an exercise in sensory awareness, the temperature of the water, the pressure against your skin, the sound of falling drops, the scent of soap. The walk to work transforms into an exploration of changing sensory input, the play of light and shadow, the rhythm of footsteps, the subtle shifts in temperature and air pressure. I worked with Daniel, a corporate executive who complained of feeling disconnected and stressed. By developing what he called his sensory breaks, brief moments throughout the day when he would consciously tune into his sensory experience, he discovered not only a powerful tool for stress reduction, but a way to make better decisions through clearer perception of his environment and relationships. Our attention, like a cat's gaze, naturally moves between different aspects of experience. Learning to direct this movement consciously, while maintaining awareness of the broader field of perception, becomes a crucial skill. Think of it as developing a kind of perceptual peripheral vision, the ability to focus on specific details while maintaining awareness of the larger context. This capacity proves particularly valuable in complex situations. Lisa, an emergency room nurse, developed this skill to maintain both focused attention on immediate tasks and broader awareness of the entire ER environment. She described it as having zoom and wide-angle lenses available simultaneously, allowing her to respond more effectively to rapidly changing situations. Perhaps the most powerful application of enhanced perception comes in our relationships with others. As we develop clearer perception, we begin to notice subtle cues we previously missed, like the slight tension in someone's voice, a barely perceptible shift in posture, or the unspoken messages beneath the spoken words. Consider Mark's experience. As a parent of a teenager, he felt increasingly disconnected from his daughter. Through practicing more conscious perception, he began noticing patterns in their interactions he'd previously missed. He realized that his daughter's apparently dismissive responses often masked moments of vulnerability, and his habitual reactions were closing rather than opening channels of communication. This perceptual insight transformed their relationship, allowing him to respond to the deeper currents beneath surface behaviors. As we develop more refined perception, we begin to recognize the interconnected nature of all experience. Like a cat that seems to respond to events before they occur, we develop a more nuanced awareness of the subtle relationships between different aspects of our environment and experience. This expanded awareness naturally leads to more skillful action. Rather than reacting automatically to partial or distorted perceptions, we learn to respond from a place of clearer, more complete understanding. This doesn't mean we never make mistakes or misperceive situations, but we develop the capacity to recognize and correct perceptual errors more quickly. As we prepare to explore beliefs and understandings in our next chapter, carry with you this awareness of how your perceptions shape your reality. Notice how the quality of your perception influences the formation of beliefs and the nature of your understanding. Like our feline friends, we can develop extraordinary sensitivity to our environment while maintaining relaxed, open awareness. Before we close this chapter, I invite you to establish what I call a perceptual practice. Choose one ordinary activity from your daily routine, perhaps drinking your morning coffee, walking to your car, or washing dishes. Commit to bringing full perceptual awareness to this activity each time you engage in it. Notice not just the obvious sensory inputs but the subtle ones you might usually miss. Pay attention to how your perceptual filters influence your experience. Keep a small journal of your observations. You might be surprised by how much richness and complexity exists in even the most ordinary moments when perceived with full awareness. Notice how this practice begins to influence other areas of your life, creating a ripple effect of enhanced perception and understanding. Like a cat's whiskers that detect the slightest changes in its environment, your perceptual abilities can become increasingly refined through conscious attention and practice. Each moment offers a fresh opportunity to perceive more clearly, understand more deeply, and engage more fully with the rich tapestry of experience that surrounds us always.